looking at the writing task too, and really trying to focus on areas that are going to help you improve your band score. Okay. I'll speak about that at the end, Ria. Okay. So we're looking at the question, you know, thinking about the question, making a plan before you start, which is really, really important. And then the structure of the essay and, you know, how to develop your arguments. Okay. So let's have a look at the question first of all. So what we're looking at specifically here is the discussion question. This is a very common one, okay? And basically you're given two opposing points of view and you have to discuss both sides and give your opinion. So they always have that sentence at the end of the question, discuss both sides and give your opinion. What that means is that you must talk about both of those points of view before you give your opinion. That's very, very important. Okay. And what we're going to look at is, you know, a couple of minutes before you start making your plan, you know, just make sure you've read through the question, make sure you've understood exactly what they are asking. One of the mistakes that people make sometimes is that they maybe read the question a bit quickly and they write more of a general answer rather than being really specific about what the question is asking. So it's a very good idea, just very quickly, just underline the key points in the question and make sure that, you know, you're fully aware of everything that you need to talk about. If you miss out something that's in the question, then you will have what we call an incomplete essay. If you have an incomplete essay, then you can't get more than a 5 for your task response. And that will really take your score down. So it's really key that you cover all of anything which is mentioned in the task question needs to be mentioned in your essay. Okay, so let's have a look at that again. One more thing I want to mention, again, this is a common mistake, is it says include any relevant examples from your own knowledge and experience. Okay, however, that doesn't mean using personal anecdotes in your essay or talking about your cousin and what happened to your cousin. So it just means that talk about things that you know from, you know, watching the news, reading documentaries. So knowledge that you have from the real world, or knowledge that you have from perhaps your profession, your city, your country, but not personal anecdotes. Okay, again, that is going to lose you a lot of marks in task response. Okay, so if we had a look at this, our sample question, which we're going to write together, what would you say are the key phrases in this task question? What would you underline if we were in the exam right now and you just turned over? So yes, university education is very important. That's one side. Okay, and yes, it's the best way. So we are talking about the best way to get a job. Soft skills, also we are talking about. Okay. Yes, very good, Neo. I think it's really important also to underline elements of the question because we have different types of tasks and they require different types of answers, different structures in a way. So yeah, I would also underline discuss both sides, and I would underline your own opinion as well. So you know exactly what you have to do. Okay, so this is all about getting a job and which is more important, university education or experience, but only in relation to getting a good job, not any other way of thinking about it. Okay. Yes, and you're right, Hadia, it's completing university education as well. Okay, so let's have a look at what we're going to look at. So after you've underlined those keywords, then the next thing you need to do is to make a plan. Okay, doesn't take very long. And I know a lot of people go, oh, I don't have time to do a plan. But it will actually save you a lot of time when you're writing, because if you already have your arguments, if you already have the content of your essay, then you can focus on your grammar, your linking phrases, your vocabulary while you're actually writing. You don't have to be thinking about what you want to say. Okay, hi Attila, not much. We've only just started. Nice to see you again. Okay, so make the plan first. It also means that you'll be very focused in your answer. Again, mistakes sometimes people make. Start writing. Maybe you're very fluent in writing, excellent vocabulary, excellent grammar, but you know, then you just start writing and you don't really pay attention to where you're going, and it's not a very focused answer. Okay, so I would just make a quick plan like this, okay, where you write down the two sides of what you're going to talk about. Very nice to see you, Attila. So you're going to have two paragraphs in the body, okay, no problem. So each of these, one is going to be the first body paragraph, and two is going to be the second body paragraph. So what you're doing here is you're putting down the information for the body paragraphs, okay? And for each one, we want to have a main idea, or two. You can have two main ideas in each paragraph, and then what we call supporting evidence. So you've got to back up, you've got to support your arguments with things like reasons and examples, that kind of information. So you don't want to have too many arguments. Really, you want to have one or two in each side. And then you need to develop those arguments. That is really, really important. A list of arguments is not good. Okay, you will lose a lot of marks in task response if you just list different ideas but you don't develop them. So much better to focus on one or two on each side of the argument, and then make sure that you develop those fully. Okay. So for example, we are going to give a reason why university education is important, okay? Remember, this is a discussion essay, so it means you have to support both points of view, okay? So if we have a look at this, we've got our main point, then we've got our supporting evidence, which is things like reasons, examples, consequences, those kinds of ideas, okay? If we look at the second one, what could be a good argument for why experience is more important? What would be a good argument on the other side? So we could say, we're talking about university education is more important because of the knowledge you gain there. Doctors, engineers need to have a university education. But yes, so we could talk about the hands-on experience. We could talk about practical experience. Very good, Hadia, real life situations, connections. It's a very good point, yeah. Soft skills, very valuable, as you said, Victoria. These days, a lot of jobs, really, it's about the soft skills. Okay, very good, Ibrahim. You can handle different situations. Working skills, Alexei, exactly. Some more practical ideas. Okay. Yes, Ruth, we'll come to that in the conclusion. Okay. Yes, so service jobs, you know, really you need to learn on the point. Okay. So, you know, in some ways, practical experience is going to be more important, you know, direct experience. And then we give an example of some jobs where that is going to be the case. Okay. So always good to have specific examples for whatever argument you're giving. Okay, the more specific, the better. And also, the more specific you are, you tend to be using more precise vocabulary. So that works really well. Okay, so again, before you start writing, make a little plan. You can make a little table. What's my argument supporting here? University education, the first point. What's my argument supporting the second point? Okay, and then after that, it's also a good idea to put down what your own opinion is. So which do you support? And as you said, Ruth, you can say, well, you know, it's not a case of one being better than the other, but it's more a case of which job you are interested in, or perhaps which career you are interested in. We're just looking at the plan, Victoria. We haven't started writing yet. Okay. So yeah, very important. The body paragraphs, so where we have 1 and 2 there, they need to be objective. Okay, so you are speaking in general terms with the body paragraphs. Your own opinion is going to go in the conclusion, okay, not in the body. All right, we'll come to the introduction in a moment, but you don't need to plan the introduction. Okay, so when you're writing the plan, then you should just do the 2 body paragraphs and the conclusion. Okay, particularly the 2 body paragraphs are important. Okay, so I've done this. I know what I want to say. I know what my arguments are, and I know what my specific examples are. So now I can start writing. Okay, so we're going to answer your questions, all of those questions now. Okay, so let's look now at the whole plan. Okay, so it's always, for all of the essays, it doesn't matter what type of essay it is, you're basically going to have the same structure. So your first paragraph is going to be your introduction. So what do we need to put in the introduction? Okay, very good. You're going to paraphrase the question. So we're going to make some comment on the task question by rephrasing it or making a general statement. We'll come to that in a minute, Alan. Okay, and then at the end, you're going to give your thesis statement. So this means that you give your opinion at the end of the introduction, but only very briefly, no detail. Okay, there should be no arguments, no detail in the introduction. Okay, so you just explain the question and give your own opinion very quickly. Introduction tends to be quite short, maybe 3 or 4 sentences. I'd say maximum 4 sentences. Okay, then you have your 2 body paragraphs. Okay, so notice this is body A and body B. They have the same format. Okay, we're going to do all that in a minute, guys. Patience, calm down. Yes, very good. Topic sentence. So the first sentence in each of your body paragraphs needs to be your topic sentence. So you're introducing your argument. Okay, then you follow that up exactly with your supporting evidence. Okay, so you can explain what you mean in more detail. You can give reasons, you can give examples, you can give, yeah, exactly, Alan, you can give facts, you can give specific facts, research. And as I said, the more specific you are, the better. Okay, so that's going to be the same for both body paragraphs. Okay, exactly the same format. Body A supporting the first statement in the question, body B supporting the second statement in the question. Okay, then we have our conclusion. So in our conclusion, what are we going to do? So we've talked about both of those points of view, yeah, separately. So now we're going to bring them together and summarize them. Okay, and then we're going to give our own opinion, exactly. And now we can go into a bit more detail of our own opinion. Okay, so that is basically your structure for all of the essays. Introduction, body A on one point, body B on the opposing point, conclusion. Mention your opinion in the introduction briefly and go into it in more detail in the conclusion, but keep the body paragraphs objective. No personal opinion in the body paragraphs. Okay, we'll look at how to write all of these things in a moment, and keep the division between the paragraphs very clear. Your introduction and your conclusion tend to be a bit shorter, maybe 3, maybe 4 sentences. 3 would probably do it. Your body paragraphs tend to be a bit bigger because you have to do the detail in the body paragraphs, you know, so maybe sort of 6 or 7 sentences. Another very important thing, your body paragraphs should be more or less the same length. Okay, not exactly, obviously, but if you have one very, very long paragraph and then a very short one, that doesn't look good. Yeah, so more or less 50-50. When you look at it, they should look about the same length. So you're giving equal weight to the 2 arguments, okay?